Okay, so far we've looked at some of the difficulties in meditation. The emphasis, of course, is on controlling the mind. We don't have to worry too much about these other obstacles. The main thing is uh, what are the little extra things that we can do? We know the main thing in meditation. We have a mantra we repeat, and we have an image. This should theoretically occupy the mind, but it doesn't. So the mind wanders. So we have all these other things. I'm calling this practical hints, but the first hints that I've given seem to be highly abstract and theoretical. We'll get to more practical things, but I think to me, this is a very important thing that uh, meditation isn't like any other type of activity where it just involves body and mind. That somehow we have to convince ourselves that we sit for meditation, we're entering into a different realm. We're entering into a spiritual realm, however we understand it, diving deep in the ocean, that we can commune with the divine. We can feel the real nature of the self. We can feel that oneness. We can feel our infinite freedom, our real nature, that this meditation is something unique. Swamiji says, this is the one time when we can be who we really are. In that state of meditation, we forget there's an outside world exists. So we can pay less attention to what are the techniques of meditation and understand what's happening in meditation, and make it something, a very special period where we can really feel a little bit of that divine grace this time of meditation. So meditation should be something that we look forward to. It should be something we feel is really a period of grace, that this is the one time when we can put into practice everything that we read about and heard about and thought about, and try to experience. We can have some intellectual understanding that individual self is nothing but the supreme self covered with upatis. We can have all of that. But this is the one time. See, intellectually, we can peel the onion, and I am not the body, not the I, and do all of that. But in meditation, we can really do it. Eliminate this body idea. Even peel off this ordinary mind to get into something higher. So we have that one chance to really put everything into practice and have that type of a higher type of experience. So I thought this last session, I would really try to go into more practical types of things. This was, to me, the theoretical is also practical, but just some type of hints that can be helpful for all of us. So the first thing that I wanted to mention, also slightly abstract, but is that we have to have conviction that this is the right spiritual path for us. We have to really feel that this is the real goal of life, that this is the best means of trying to attain that goal. And in meditation, we have to have some conviction that what we're doing is something that cannot be questioned. So this is the role that spiritual initiation plays. So I don't know how many have taken mantra diksha, but when we take initiation, when we receive this mantra, and mantra contains the Ishta Devata. So we get the name of that aspect of God or form of God or manifestation of God that will represent this infinite absolute for us. And we get the mantra to repeat, that we have to have absolute conviction that this is the best possible spiritual path for us. We have to have tremendous faith in the power of the mantra, that this mantra can work magic, that we were talking about how to purify the self. This is a divine name, and this repetition of the mantra, if we can have that faith that this will work magic on us with regard to what we call chitta shuddhi, How do we purify the heart and the mind? See, purification of heart and mind. This is another, people very often ask, what is the difference between purification of the heart and the mind? This purification of the mind, this pure mind will be the quiet mind. We'll get to this tomorrow. I don't want to go into it too much, this idea of the grace of the mind. But this purification of the heart, it means eliminating this selfishness and pride and anger, lust and greed, and all of these different things. That precedes everything. The mind will never become still and quiet, this pure mind, unless the heart is pure. So this is the most important thing. And if we have that faith, that sincerely calling on God with these mantra we're given and everything, that can help purify us, then we'll understand the importance of this role of meditation and repetition of the mantra. So this is the first thing that I wanted to mention, that we should feel that this mantra we've been given is the key. Thakur gives a very nice, beautiful illustration. Suppose something is lying at the bottom of the ocean. Say there's a treasure chest, and there's a chain connected to that, and the chain comes on all the way up to land. Now, if we want to find that treasure chest, we can simply dive. We can go out in the middle of the ocean and we can dive as many times as we want. What are the chances that we'll find it? Possible. Theoretically, it's possible. The odds are not very favorable. Now, if we're given that chain and we're told that you were holding the chain that will take you to that treasure, and all you have to do is go link by link. And there's no question, we don't know how long it is. You don't know how long it is. At some point, you'll have to go underwater. There'll be some leap of faith at some point. But if we know that, and each time we repeat the mantra, we're one link closer. If we have that conviction and that feeling, then how much more valuable our meditation period will be. We can understand that very easily. Each repetition is one link closer. And we have to have that infinite faith and patience that no matter how long it takes, we know that it's finite. And we know that we'll get to the end, we'll get to that treasure. So this is the first thing. The second thing, now we'll get to very practical things. Have a fixed routine. Swami Swahanandaji, he was very fond of saying, bind yourself to a routine. Now, we generally feel in spiritual life, I don't want any bondage. That's the last thing that I want. I don't want to be bound to anything. But we find if we have a routine and we stick to it, and we don't deviate from it, there's tremendous freedom that comes from that. That we feel that, no, this is my time for that. I don't have to think about it. Mind is free. I don't have to decide, do I want to, do I not want to? That automatically I'll do it. This is the time I get up in the morning, especially morning. The people who lead a householder life, a busy life, work life, are not always free at other times. But morning, we can all do it. Just get up a little earlier, whatever. So the more we can have a regular routine, and this routine, we can develop a routine according to what suits us best. We were talking this morning that I have a long-standing practice of doing some spiritual reading before I go sit for meditation, that I like to get up. I don't like to simply wake up and immediately go to the shrine. Many people do that, and it's fine. If they like it, good. For me, I like to be really fresh. So I'll take a shower, I'll have a cup of tea, I'll do some spiritual reading, something inspiring, some type of inspiring reading, then go to the shrine. And it's just become a habit. See, this routine, it becomes a habit, and we try not to miss it. We feel bad if we miss it somehow. So this is very, very helpful in spiritual life. Everyone will ask the question, what do we do if we're having a bad meditation? Should we just suffer through the whole thing? This is, again, a very personal type of thing. Some people will say that, no, then get up from that meditation, do some reading or something, but keep that same time slot. Don't just give us, so if you cut short your meditation, you want to maybe do japa instead, or keep your eyes open, or do some reading or something, but at least keep that same time period. Others will say suffer through it. Yeah, I have a philosophy. I have a lot of theories you find out. That, yeah. That we're all do a certain number of bad meditations in this lifetime. Get it over with. Yeah, get it over with. You simply give in this time, it'll face you the next time. Yeah, get rid of it. Then, second thing, and this I've noticed, sometimes when the mind is very restless, that it just takes a long time, and the end of meditation, maybe last 10, 15 minutes or something, mind gets quiet. If I'd gotten up before that, I would have missed it. So I'm from the suffer through it school, but everyone is different. Yeah, everyone is different. But this idea, not just for meditation, for japa, if we do a little puja, if we have time for spiritual reading, the more we do it at a fixed time, then the more the mind is ready for it, the mind gets in a mood for it. Mind gets in a mood for all these simple things. The burning incense, the nose smells it, the mind gets in the mood for it. Sitting in the same place, having the same wearing set of clothes that we keep, keeping a separate shrine, keeping some holy pictures. All of these things are very, very helpful. And of course, the time of day, we always talk about these Sandhya periods, when it goes from nighttime to daytime and daytime to nighttime. These two in particular, that there's some feeling that nature itself is undergoing transformation. So if we sit for meditation when it's dark out, when we open our eyes and it's light out, we feel some change is taking place without our notice. So the particular time that we sit for meditation, and length of time. So as I was saying, sometimes we don't give the mind enough time to get quiet. And again, everyone is different. Some people, they may be able to concentrate very well in the beginning, and then the mind gets tired later. Some people, the mind has to run around a lot, and then it gets tired, and then they can have a good meditation. Swamiji says, it's good in the beginning to not try to control the mind, just let the mind wander a little bit and observe it until it starts to get a little quiet, then begin your meditation. He also says it's very good to pray first, pray for the welfare of other beings, and it eliminates a little bit of this I won't say selfishness, but self-centeredness of meditation. We're doing it for ourselves, after all. So at least feel that this meditation is also somehow connected with a prayer for the welfare of other beings. So we talked about time, about the place, if we can have our own shrine or a separate place within the room, some place where we don't do anything other than our spiritual practice, that this gives us a feeling of the sacredness. And as I say, the mind automatically responds to these different things. Thakur says that for meditation, he says, Kone moni boni. He had a very nice way of expressing things, that you can meditate in corner of a room. So what does that mean? Some place where we won't be visible to anybody else. We won't see other people. There'll be some sense of solitude. And moni in a forest. We can go to some place where nature seems to be very harmonious, some beautiful place, or in the mind itself. Now, the two meanings to this. One is that we want our own solitude, and we sit for meditation, we withdraw, forget about everything else. Second, some place where other people aren't seeing us, because the mind is such that somehow we'll feel, the mind will be drawn outward a little bit if we feel that other people are there. Now, there are times when we do group meditation with other devotees, is very helpful. But this is just in general to avoid that feeling of that a little pride can come. See, people are seeing me sit quietly for meditation. Yeah. So to avoid that, go into a little corner of your room where nobody can see you. Go out in the woods, in the forest, nobody can see you. Or else, if you're in the midst of other people, it's all mental. You don't know who's repeating the mantra and who's doing what. Don't give any indication, don't show off or anything like that. So that's one of Thakur's nice teachings. Then uh, how we fall asleep and how we wake up. Yes, that if the time before we go to sleep, we do some spiritual reading. I mentioned yesterday that this Gospel of Swami Krishna, this Katamrita, that to me, this is the greatest gift to mankind from the spiritual point of view, of course, that we can imagine. That this book can transform someone, that it'll put the mind in a mood. So I've had this habit for, I think, since the first time I read the gospel, that every night I'll read some before I go to sleep, and then morning sometimes also. So, and go to sleep repeating this mantra, that those who have faith in this mantra can have the feeling and the conviction that we go to sleep repeating it, it goes on throughout the night. And we can have the experience that the moment that we wake up, mantra is there. So we wake up with that feeling. Waking up, I had an interesting conversation once with our Swami Bhajananandaji, Swami Bhajananandaji. He is known in our order as a meditative person and original thinker, a very deep type of thinker. So for some reason, one day he asked me that, what do you do when you first wake up in the morning? I didn't know what to say. Very senior Swami. I didn't, so I repeated mantra. He said, okay, he said, when you wake up, ask yourself, where was I when I was asleep and where am I now? And who was I then and who am I? This try to feel that this nature of the self, this lower self, that at one time you were completely identified with the dream world, now you're identified with this, that you nothing but the witness of all of these different states. Different ways of understanding things, but this ending the day and starting the day with some spiritual idea, some spiritual thought, that these are also very helpful things. Then we had one Swami, Parmeshanandaji, who was a disciple of the Holy Mother. He was also, I don't want to say not just a God-realized soul, but also a very original thinker. And he was famous for his songs and his letters and everything. He used to say that from time to time during the day, it's good to have mini meditations. Take 5 minutes. If you work in an office or something, close the door, 5 minutes, sit for meditation, and then go back to your work. Just give you another spin into that wheel so that it continues. So the mind, part of the mind is meditating throughout the day. This is the point with all of that. Then we have this other idea that meditation, it comes out of life. We have to, if we want to lead a meditative type of life, if we want to be successful, what we call successful in meditation, then we have to be very careful about the company that we keep, the types of entertainment that we engage in, everything about life. We have to develop this habit of being introspective, monitoring everything, questioning our choices, how do we decide what to do, what not to do. This is the whole idea of karma yoga. This is the one, karma yoga is the one yoga that's 24 hours a day. Everything else has its particular time. Meditation and japa, of course, we can try to make 24 hours, but the bhajans and everything, but this karma yoga, it has to be throughout the day, every action that we do, we have to try to do everything, eliminating any selfish motive. and try to keep in the mind that we're doing things as an offering. And if we do things as an offering, we have to do things skillfully. Yoga karma kaushalam, very famous line from Gita, defining yoga as skillfulness in action. If we really feel, say we're serving food to the family, that if we really feel that first we're going to present this plate to Sri Ramakrishna, that thing, how much attention we'll give and everything, and put it nicely and arrange everything. If we can have that mindset, then we're somehow managing to keep part of the mind thinking of our spiritual ideal throughout the day. So this attention to the time spent outside of meditation. There's a very beautiful article. There's a book that was written called Meditation by the Monks of the Ramakrishna Order. And they were all different lectures that were transcribed. One is by Swami Ashokanandaji, another brilliant, one of the most brilliant monks of our order. And he has an article, it was, as I say, it was a lecture called Before We Sit in Meditation. And it's all about the preliminary things and how the time before we enter into meditation, how that's equally, if not more important than the time in meditation. Yeah, we can't just think worldly thoughts all day long and expect the mind to think spiritual thoughts when we sit for meditation. So there's another very important idea that we have to gear everything towards a meditative type of life. Now, does that mean we can have no diversions in life? We can have no simple pleasures? I think no. Sometimes we need diversion. Sometimes if we don't, then we'll find that things become tiresome and we may even give up. So a little diversion is good. They give this example, the string of the veena. If it's too tight, it'll snap. If it's too loose, it won't play. So we have to be careful that we don't snap ourselves, that wind ourselves too tight. So a little diversion is also good. One of the presidents of our order, I never remember, it may have been Swami Shankaranandaji or Madhavanandaji, one of them. He told the monks, it's good to have a hobby. Somebody was asking me earlier about this woodworking, that it frees the mind a little bit, and we can lose ourselves in the hobby, and we can spiritualize it also. So it's very helpful, because life can become tedious, even spiritual life. So for many people, they go for a walk in the woods, some exercise. These things are also helpful and necessary sometimes. But the tenor of life, it should be that everything geared towards this. See, a hobby or something like that, the mind is also free, things we do with our hands, free to be repeating this mantra and everything. I found, you're asking about woodworking, that I can be more concentrated on this repetition of the mantra when I'm doing some delicate type of work than I can at other times, without it taking away from what I'm doing. A curious thing that I would find, certain types of things, there's a tool called a bandsaw. Bandsaw is used to make curves. So you draw a line, the curve that you want, and it's a type of yoga. And you can just observe the hands moving in a certain way, pushing through, staying the blade and the line together. It's a type of yoga. And the whole time, mind can be repeating this mantra with great concentration. So we can turn anything into a spiritual practice. So this is that little hint. Now, make an event out of meditation. Make an event out of meditation. You know, this idea of date night. Sometimes, yeah, even a husband and a wife, they've been married so long, they're used to each other, and they say, no, well, date night. So you get dressed up nicely. We'll go out, we'll have a special dinner, we'll go to a show, we'll do all of that. It's something special. So this idea that we should look forward to meditation as a very special event. Now, for me, this means that, again, it's not that I'm going to imagine anything. I'm going to enter into the presence of Sri Ramakrishna. That meditation is my way of my visit to Dakshineswar. I'm going to go there and be with him. So that means that I don't want to go empty-handed. I don't want to go in a sloppy way. I want to really prepare for it. The mind has to be in a mood for it. I want to change. If it's possible, I'd like to take a shower before I go to the shrine, brush my teeth. People say, well, brush your teeth, who do you care? No, these are all the ways of just convincing the mind that this is a very special thing that's taking place, and that something that we look forward to. See, if spiritual practice, sadhana, is a chore, if it's something that we feel that, well, we're bound to do, we have to do it, we promised our guru we do this, let me do it quickly, let me get it over with, and then there's not much value to it. But if we really think that's a privilege, this is a tremendous privilege, as if this is the one time of the day or this particular period when I can go and sit at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother or Krishna or Rama or Jesus or Buddha, whatever our spiritual ideal is, to feel the reality of it and not just this imagination. So how do we feel the reality of it? We're entering deep into that ocean, in that realm where this divine play is going on. So then we get this idea of this Leela Dhyana. And now we can picture, we're sitting before Sri Ramakrishna. We can picture him getting up and singing and dancing and walking around and doing whatever, no limits to the imagination. This is another thing that Swami Paramahansa, he emphasizes so much, this idea of Leela Dhyana, and how much joy we'll get if when we feel that we're sitting in meditation, we're sitting with eyes open in front of Sri Ramakrishna. To my side is Narendra and Rakal, and M is there taking notes and all of that, that it becomes something real and something that we look forward to. The same way that they used to look forward to actually going to him in person, when he was actually living in flesh and blood, and we can have that feeling that Leela is going on eternally. This is one of the traditions in the Vaishnava faith, that this eternal Vrindavan, that anyone can go, that play is going on now. One doesn't even have to die in order to go there, but that all dwelling within this cosmic realm somehow. So yesterday I talked about the two moods, Viraha Bhava and Milana Bhava. The Thakur was telling this the Keshav and the Brahmos that look at the mood of Radha, how the whole time that she's not permitted to be in the presence of Sri Krishna. She's married with her husband. She has her duties to do. She can only sneak out certain times at night with the other gopis. That the whole mind is fixed on Sri Krishna, waiting when can they meet again. So looking upon that as the greatest event of the day, then that Milana Bhava. So we can also try to incorporate that type of mood so that we really, really feel that we look forward to that time of meditation as the time when we can be in the presence. Now, throughout the day, we can feel it, of course. God dwells within the heart and everything, but in a special way. In a special way that we can just eliminate everything else from our lives, and at one time just sit in that divine presence. And then that last idea that at the end of our meditation, there's something that Swami Brahmananda, that he emphasizes very much. Don't jump up after meditation, get in the car and go right to work. Give yourself a little time. If possible, sit a little time or do some reading, or at least try to be quiet for a while and let it sink in a little bit. Let it soak up and feel that afterglow. Let that go on. And then final hint that I will give, then we'll have questions. is there's one thing that takes care of everything else, and that is sincerity. If we're sincere in our spiritual practice, then all other mistakes and difficulties and problems that we have are secondary. So this is the main thing, to have that sincerity, that shraddha, that faith, and a little humility and a little reliance on God, and absence of ego and pride and everything, sincerity. So these are some of the hints that may be a little more practical than some of the other things. So now I will turn it over for questions.
Swami, can you talk a little bit about using our spiritual imagination where we might get trapped into thinking we're having a spiritual experience or craving for a spiritual experience to come from meditation?
Yeah, this is always very difficult to know when is an experience a genuine type of experience, how much of it is our own imagination. This play of, I made reference to this play of the subjective and the objective. If it's a real spiritual experience, there has to be some transformation. This we know by the fruits. If there's a real spiritual experience, then there has to be some degree of peace and calm that comes to us, some type of transformation, that we're a little bit relieved from the selfishness, that we're not so much at the mercy of these passions and everything. There should be a long afterglow, a long afterglow. If we have some real genuine experience, that we'll feel it. Even with a dream. The dream, after all, it's only a dream. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, he had tremendous belief in the certain types of dreams of being spiritual dreams. That people would say, I had this dream, and then I say M one time, it tells him, he says, how wonderful, how fortunate. He even said swapna siddha, that some people attain realization in a dream. So how do we know the difference? We can have a dream. I haven't had many in my life, very few. I always wonder why, very few, but that have an intensity to them that we remember for the rest of our lives, as if we had the real experience, as if we're really sitting with the presence of Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother Swamiji or something like that. So everything is a little bit of I don't want to say imagination, but the subjective side, that'll always be there to a certain extent. Most people will not confuse these things unless they really have some type of mental problem, hallucinations and things like that.
What about craving for spiritual experience? Is that something we should do, or are some people temperamentally more inclined that way and others not? And does that reflect on one's spiritual prowess?
Yeah, this is another very good question. Really, what are we trying to achieve in spiritual life? Is it some experience? Is it some vision? Is it some transformation? Everyone is a little bit different with regard to this question. There's a whole devotional tradition in India that Sri Ramakrishna also accepts to a great extent, that the one thing that we should try to achieve in spiritual life is bhakti, is devotion. And to the exclusion of visions, to the exclusion of mukti, of final liberation, everything else, to say, Lord, I don't care for anything. Let me live this life only as an offering to you. This is an extreme form of devotion. There'll be others that feel that this world is a terrible bondage. I have to cast it off. There will be a tremendous longing for that. Desire just for some types of visions and things, we have to look at the sincerity behind it. Is there some motive? I'll be able to tell people, yes, I had a vision. Many people will do that. The first thing that they'll do is tell some other people, oh, I had such a wonderful meditation that I felt this and that and everything. a very good sign that there's something amiss. There's something wrong. If we have a very genuine experience, it should be something that we guard very, very secretly. That maybe if we want to tell our own guru, sometimes they say if there's somebody very close to us, that on the same wavelength and everything, otherwise we won't feel that desire. It'll be too precious to share with anybody else. So if there's some hankering to have some experience with a little bit of ego and pride behind it, then of course it's not such a positive thing.
There's a question online, Maharaj. Pravina writes, Pranam Swamiji, as a practical matter, should we avoid certain situations that challenge the meditative state we want to maintain? How do we draw the line between what to avoid and what to accept as part of life?
Yes. Everybody has a different line that they won't cross. For some people, they'll just say, and no, I'm not going to go to these parties where people are drinking and carousing and do it. Forget it. I'm not going to do it. There'll be a lot of gray area where we have to compromise. Yeah, for the sake of work, for the sake of the family. At that time, we simply have to keep that inner thought of, and try to just not be affected by outside things. So these are all very subjective, personal types of things. One thing that Swami Ashokananda says, is a very nice thing. He says that you take the spiritual life and your friends will notice you're no longer the life of the party. That they'll see that what happened to this person, they don't like to do these things anymore. And sometimes it's an actual decision that some friends will be left behind who just were friends for other reasons, social reasons or things. Those who really love us and understand us and care for us, they'll understand. But sometimes we have to be a little bit firm. Everything's a question of degree. To take to monastic life, it means absolute firmness. It means we just say, no, that life I'm leaving behind me. Everyone else, there'll be some degree of compromise. And it'll depend on the circumstances and depend on the individual. We have to take into consideration other people in our lives. Sometimes we can't be too selfish about things. I always say that I'm very happy when I was growing up that my mother wasn't into spiritual life. Because I see some families, I think kids, they're simply sitting there, where's your mother? She's meditating. They have nobody to play with. Nothing. So it's sometimes we really have to compromise in the family life for that. Otherwise, very good. She has firm conviction. She knows exactly what she wants, but then there's a downside to it. So, yeah, where do we draw the line? And can we gear our lives in such a way that gradually our friends and everybody, they all know, and know this is his time. He goes to the center on Sunday, so don't bother him, this and that. That she'll be meditating at home. That just give her space and everything. People will adjust. Say truthfulness. Always this question comes up. That how can we maintain our jobs if we're too truthful, if we don't play the games that we have to play and everything. So I always feel that those who have some higher standard, some people will laugh at them, they'll lose some people, other people will learn to respect them. That if we can practice this truthfulness, Thakur was so insistent on truthfulness. Now, it doesn't mean we don't hiss sometimes. We have to be sensible, but in general, there are very few instances if we really have to lie to keep a job or something, get a different job. We have to, again, draw the line somewhere. So it depends on the degree of seriousness that we have and on the circumstances. We have to consider the other people in our lives.
Maharaj, we can get some aids before meditation, as you talked about, like reading a book or maybe listening to bhajan or something. What is your opinion about some aids during meditation? Like, can I hear to some frequencies, or can I put on some noise cancellation headphone? Those sort of aids that are not quite natural but may help.
Yeah, if we can block out sound and if we're not constantly aware, we want to forget this body idea. If we could do that much, I don't see any harm in that. But yes, some people think, say this is mantra, I can put in headphones, I can have this, what do they call it, link or something. This is, what do they call it? It goes over and over and over again. This is a loop.
Yeah, loop.
Yeah, have the mantra on a loop. Yeah. No, part of the idea is it should be from the heart, and we should feel that we're doing it everything. So I can't think of too many very positive things. You're blocking out sound, of course. Yeah, we want to do that. We want to find a place to sit for meditation that's not noisy. If we can insulate the room better or something like that. I don't know if I wear headphones, I'd probably feel that they're on my head. But if you can do it without that. Otherwise, the repetition of the mantra and the feeling of the mantra of the Ishta Devata dwelling within the heart, trying to picture, these should be enough to occupy the mind.
So there are some frequencies that can calm down your mind and, like, beta,
I don't know.
beta, gamma, and
I
all of
don't,
this.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Some sound vibration frequency thing.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean
This is a different thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
some radio frequency kind of thing.
yes.
Yeah.
Maharaj, Dr. Ajit Roy writes, my name is Ajit Roy. I had the privilege to meet you starting from the time of founding this center and a few other times in DC and New Jersey.
Oh.
Then he has a question. May I ask you a personal question? What motivated you to become a monk? And he has two more questions after that.
Okay.
One is enough, okay.
Yeah. I was inspired by reading Swamiji. See, I took a trip to India when I was out of college. I was supposed to go to graduate school at the University of Texas. And I didn't want to. I wasn't especially interested. So I decided to work for some time, and I had a desire. I was a philosophy student, to go to India, to learn something about meditation and Indian philosophy and everything. So when I got there, I bought a little book. Of course, I'm compressing the story, Teachings of Swami Vivekananda. And before that, I read Gita. I read a few things. I read Autobiography of a Yogi thing. Gita, of course, I loved very much. But then when I read Swamiji, that did it. It was the beginning and end of everything. And then from there, I went to Kolkata and went to Bhadramat and Dakshineshwar and all of that. And then, yeah, so I blame Swamiji for all of this. Yeah.
Namaste, Swamiji. I'm Geeta. Totally a fresher. And it's just my second day. I had been there yesterday as well. I have few questions, if you don't mind. I have 3 questions, but I believe they are so maybe sounding very naive or stupid or maybe complex even. I'm not sure. As I said, this is a new journey for me. And my first question is, we usually say when we talk about meditation in general, we say that we need to control our mind, and mind always follows instructions. When you say that we need to control our mind to make it stable, on the contrary, we also say that we need to free it and finally surrender to whatever, whether it's a spirituality or the truth. How can we do these 2 contrary things?
See, the controlled mind is the free mind. Mind that's out of control is the one that has no freedom. It simply acts according to instinct and desire and passions and all of that. If we understand that, the controlled mind is our friend. Another very important verse from the Gita, that this higher mind. See, the mind works on two levels. The mind is controlling itself. Huh? That there's a higher mind is the one who will lift us up, and this mind that's under the sway of the senses and everything else, that will pull us back down again. So they're not contrary ideas. That what is the higher mind? What is the mind that's a friend? The controlled mind, the mind that acts according to what the Buddhi says is the right thing to do, and not according to these lower desires and everything. So if we understand that this controlled mind is our best friend. See, there's some other verses from Gita that I like very much, that equates this controlled mind with a happy mind. So this is one verse that says, those who can withstand the force of the senses and the pull of all of that, right now in this very lifetime, it says that person is a yukta, that person is a person of self-control, a yogi. It's a sukhi nara, that is a happy person.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we want to achieve in spiritual life, we're not doing it just to be happy. We want something higher, but that's the result of it. And many things that we read, the Gita especially, the Gita is very, very important. Many things we read there are equally applicable to people who are not interested in spiritual life. If we simply say, can you teach yourself to be the same in pain and pleasure? Can you teach yourself to learn forbearance? Can you teach yourself not to be affected by whether you succeed or you don't succeed, to have the type of dispassion, then you'll be a happy person. You'll also maybe help in spiritual life, but just in general. So I don't see any contradiction to this idea that we're trying to control the mind and at the same time free it. The controlled mind is the free mind. This is why I was saying this binding ourselves to a routine leads to some type of freedom. That mind is free from all of these other nagging questions and desires and worldly influences and everything. So this controlled mind is the quiet mind, is that pure mind, which can take us to the highest type of realization, where we understand that perfect freedom. Perfect freedom is from the self.
Yes.
The mind will never attain that state of perfect freedom, but it can reach the point where this realization will take place. See, this question of to what extent do we make this mind fit for realization? This in Gita, it talks about the two levels. That those who are yoga ararukshus, those who want to reach this plane of yoga, then they have to do their spiritual practice. They have to be active and everything. Then reaching that plane, this practice of calmness and lack of effort and everything, that'll be the second stage. So then it's almost a question of grace. We reach that point where we don't have to put forth that effort because the sense of I, this ego, the ordinary ego, seems to melt away. So everything comes in these different stages. At that point, it's kind of grace that takes over. So this the amount of effort that we put forth to make the mind perfect. It won't make the mind perfect, but it'll get over the hump. So this is the relationship between self-effort and grace or surrender, whatever. So it's like a fulcrum. You have a seesaw. We have to make great effort to get to the middle section, then slowly it'll over, then we slide down without any effort. So we have to try to control the mind. We have to try to perfect the mind, but we know that all we have to do is reach the tipping point. And then this grace will take over. Yeah, I've seen, especially we talk about at the moment of death. I've seen some devotees of ours that, or even monks, that no one will say that they attained to absolute perfection, that they had no little desires, this and that, nothing. It's almost impossible. As death approaches, and even the desire to take food will disappear. So just on its own, everything for real sincere devotees, everything seems to fall away at the end. And then at that last moment, no desire. Only that thought, let me go back. Have that realization somehow. I've seen it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Guruji. My second question is, how do you define the state of meditation? Like what the state that you have reached is the right way to meditate or right position to meditate? And why meditation? I know this is so basic and so stupid maybe, because I am just trying to understand from my perspective. When we meditate, is that we are trying to give or experience peace to ourselves, or to control the wandering mind, just to control it, not letting just mind to just go here and there unnecessarily, or to search something which I feel, to search something which is unknown. And if it is unknown, how do I know when I find it that that's the one that I'm in search of? And how do I recognize it even?
Well, read the very first part of that question. I want to answer that first. Read that.
So the first question was, why meditation? To give or experience the peace to yourself, or to control the wandering mind, or to search something which is unknown. And
No,
if it
before,
is
wasn't there something before that?
before that, how do you define that I am in a state of
Oh, okay,
meditation?
the state of meditation. Okay, well,
Yes.
let me talk about that.
Sure, yeah.
What we call meditation, technically in the yoga system, is called dharana. This dharana is where we try to control the mind. The real meditative state is the goal. Very, very rarely, and we may get certain periods where we feel that now the mind has really attained this meditation, where there's a steady flow of thought or steady quietness of the mind. Otherwise, what we call meditation is really an exercise in concentration, where we're trying to fix the mind on a particular thing, and or give the mind a little bit of leeway. Concentrate on the mantra, or the image, we see the feet, we see the head, a little bit of a circle in which we can function, and there's a play of the mind. It'll go back and forth, back and forth. We'll lose it, we'll bring it back again. This is not really what's meant by true meditation, dhyana, but it's the way that we can enter into it. So what we do, we say we practice meditation. We don't really do meditation.
Okay.
We're trying to achieve that state. Now, why we do it will depend on the individual. Some people, they'll do it for peace of mind. Some people will do meditation as a type of prayer, as a type of offering, as a type of worship. Some will strictly do it for some higher type of realization, some experience within. Many people will do it just to calm the mind. The vast majority of people who practice meditation, at least in this country, are doing it to achieve that state of calmness and peace and serenity and everything. They may not have any goal of God realization or anything like that. In fact, the majority nowadays, I would say, do this mindfulness meditation, vipassana meditation, which doesn't involve any idea of personal God. And yet they'll derive great benefit from it, the calmness and peacefulness and the inwardness, and not affected by external things. So people have different motives for practicing meditation, and meditation can help with all of these things. Cancer patients have had great benefits from meditation and pain reduction. So there are many different benefits of meditation. From the spiritual point of view, this meditation will allow us to transform and to reroute and eliminate and reform these samskaras in a way that can't be done so intensely, because of the intensity of thought at the time of meditation, that if we want to do some work with our personality, and we feel that we suffer from too much of selfishness or anger, something like that, that through meditation, when we can deeply analyze the nature of the self, and we can tell ourselves that this anger belongs to the mind alone, not to me. I can really feel that I'm the witness of all of this, that we can make great strides in freeing ourselves from some of these things, like anger, for example. So many, many different benefits to meditation. Some people will say, of course, health even can improve through meditation. There'll be other people who will say that I'm not the least interested in that. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm only doing it as a means to, not even to transform myself, as a means to realize that ultimate truth, or that reality, or have some experience of God, vision of God. So it's a very personal thing why people choose to take to the meditative life or spiritual life.
Thank you. I think I can give.
There's one last question online, if we have time. Vidya asks, can a samskari ever reach moksha like a monk can?
The attainment of any spiritual attainment, realization, anything, is independent of one's position in life. So a monk can live in a monastery and be more attached than anybody else. A householder can live a perfectly detached type of life. So everything depends on the state of mind and everything. So a samsari, a worldly person will never realize God. Someone who lives in the world, see, there's a distinction between leading a worldly life and living a life, a dharmic life, with duties and everything. That we have many examples of, look at some of Swami Krishna's disciples, his householder disciples, were so saintly, and wonderful people, that we can't even imagine for us as monks leading a life of such devotion and purity and love and everything. So yes, Thakur is very, very clear about that. The Gita is very clear about that in any stage of life, performance of whatever duty we have, that one can have that type of highest realization with the sincerity.
One last question.
I think at this point we can all agree that renunciation of all the worldly desires is good for achieving that state. So I was just wondering that how about the desire for knowledge, and let's say one more citation of one of my papers. So is that also bad, or how do you look at it?
See, we like to make everything black and white. There's a gradation of things. So we say desire for God realization is not a desire, it's very clear cut. But then we go a little bit lower. What about the desire for holy company? Also good. What about the desire for knowledge? Also good. We keep getting lower and lower, and then we get to gray areas. Well, what's the purpose of it? Is it knowledge just for the sake of having knowledge? Is it to deepen our understanding of things? Is to be able to teach other people? What is the motive behind it? That'll be the more important question to ask. But it's not that every desire is a bad desire. And there's a variety of different types of desires. There's a very big question, but I'm very much against this idea that every desire fulfilled will increase, and we want more and more. Pouring oil, trying to put out a fire by pouring oil on it. That's Ramakrishna says there's some desires that we have to fulfill and get rid of. I mentioned this term yesterday, bhoganta. Thakur uses this term very often, that householder life is meant for us to get our fill, to be finished with this enjoyment. That's why kama is one of the aims of life for the householder. The same kama kanchana that Thakur says we can have, that it has to be fulfilled and gotten rid of. And sometimes we can't get rid of these things just through strength of mind. We have to experience these things. And we have to see through them. The householder state of life is meant for us to fulfill whatever dharmic desires we have, and then to be finished with it, or to see through it, or to see it wasn't worth it, that it's not what it's cracked up to be, that there are higher things and everything. So it's meant for that. So we have to be very careful not to paint everything with the same brush. All desires are bad, all ego is bad. We've seen everything. It depends on the nature of it. So this desire for knowledge, we have to analyze the mind. What is the desire behind it? Is it we want to be great teachers, we want to be this and that, or simply we have this some feeling that we need to know the secret of life somehow, and it's a good thing, of course, for jnanis. Okay.